very good day to all. For this short video, I would like to talk about something which is related to the issues of taxation and environment, and the topic is about carbon tax. Carbon tax is a tax levied on carbon content of fuel that comes from transport and energy. It is also being levied on greenhouse gas emission produced by industrial sectors. It is said as part of carbon pricing or carbon emission trading because carbon tax directly set a price of a carbon by defining the tax rate on the greenhouse gas emission, or more commonly on the carbon content of fossil fuel. So how can this carbon content or greenhouse gas emission exist? The answer is, once a hydrocarbon fuel from coal, petroleum, and even natural gas is burned, this fuel will transform carbon to a harmful carbon dioxide toxic and other carbon compound. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that is largely responsible for trapping a heat in the atmosphere of the Earth, thus becoming a major cause for global warming phenomenon. And of course, global warming phenomenon will result to the undesirable effects towards human health. Economists believe that carbon tax is the cheapest and most efficient way to combat climate change, air pollution, and carbon dioxide emission with the least undesirable effect towards the economy. As at 2019, carbon tax has been introduced or planned to be implemented in 25 countries in the world, while 46 countries has put some form of carbon pricing either through carbon tax or carbon emission trading. Recently, there are 77 countries and 100 cities in the world that are committed to achieve zero global warming in the year of 2050. Alright, after obtaining some idea about what is carbon tax and how it was first being implemented, the next issue that might come to our mind is what are the pros and the cons of carbon tax if it is being implemented. Carbon tax, when it is being implemented, will make polluters pay external costs for carbon emission. This will raise revenue to the government, and the revenue can be spent to mitigate the effect of pollution. Carbon tax will reduce environmental costs associated with excess carbon dioxide pollution. As we pay full social costs due to the pollution that we make, the implementation of carbon tax will enhance greater social responsibility and social efficiency. Besides, the execution of carbon tax will push the economic sectors to search for alternative energy. For example, the economic sectors might shift from the fuel consumption to the solar energy consumption. Conversely, there are still several shortcomings of carbon tax. The imposition of carbon tax will result to a higher tax burden to the economic sectors. This will discourage investment and economic growth. Companies will shift their production to other countries without carbon tax. Business entities that are facing higher tax burden will try to evade tax in a way that they will conduct pollution in secret to avoid paying carbon tax. And don't forget that the execution of carbon tax will involve administration costs, costs to measure the pollution, and costs to collect the tax. So, let us relate the topic that we discussed now with the recent situation in Malaysia. In 2019, the Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change Minister Yeo Bee Yin has mentioned that
due to the limited resources that are faced by our country, the government has no immediate plan to introduce carbon pricing in Malaysia. However, focus will be given on climate strategy that emphasize on energy efficiency, reform and renewable. At that time, it is mentioned that Malaysia will consider to implement carbon tax after detailed impact study has been undertaken. However, in September 2020, the Environment and Water Ministry Secretary General, Dr Siti Zaidah Turmin, announced that Malaysia is in the stage of considering to impose carbon tax on future sustainability-related investment to support the sustainability agenda to tackle climate change. However, the carbon tax plan is not being further elaborated. The Malaysian government is also currently revising the Environmental Quality Act 1974 to include climate change and sustainability and mandate greenhouse gas management and reporting. These will include private sector reporting and economic instruments. As a conclusion, although Malaysia has not yet implementing carbon pricing and there is no specific regulation pertaining carbon tax might be suitable as an effective mechanism to combat carbon emission and air pollution and at the same time generating revenue to the government. It has been mentioned by the economists that carbon tax was a form of offset to the subsidy burden borne by the government. Therefore, a few suggestions can be made here. First, carbon tax should be imposed on specific target groups. For example, on heavy industry. Therefore, it will not be a burden to the low-income group. Second, if carbon tax is being implemented, it is suggested that 50% of the revenue from the carbon tax collection should be used to subsidize the hardcore poor or the low-income earner. And third, the tax relief should be given to the specific industries that pay carbon tax. So thank you for your attention, and hopefully this short video will be beneficial to you in obtaining knowledge and understanding about carbon tax. Thank you and have a nice day.